Kamala Harris is set to go on Fox News to do an interview. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Check it out.
Welcome back to America Decides. Thanks for hanging out with us. Vice President Harris will be an unfamiliar place on Wednesday. She has agreed to a sit-down interview with Fox News. I want to bring in our political panel, Sophia Kai and Graham Slattery. Graham is a national political reporter for Reuters. Sophia is a national politics reporter at Axios. Great to have you here. I want to do for our audience a tutorial because we talk all the time about the economy. That hotbed of socialism in American journalism. The Wall Street Journal did a massive story this weekend comparing the economic data for Trump and Biden. Harris inherits the Biden economic record. We all know that. So first I want to start with some graphics we have prepared. First of all, the condition of the U.S. economy according to our U.S. CBS News poll. Good, Harris, 66%. Trump voters, 87% bad. Okay, let's go to the tail of the economic tape, starting with gross domestic product, which economists will tell you is the best measurement of overall economic health. In the Trump years, you add up all the economic growth, 7.6% growth in GDP. Biden, 11.8%. Let's go to the next one. Inflation. Inflation rose during the Trump administration by 7.8%, by nearly 20% in the Biden administration. Continuing, job creation. Of course, job creation.
And this source is CBS. Just to let you guys know, I like to use different sources in order to substantiate or have a conversation about how people are feeling towards this administration and this upcoming election.
As all these economic statistics influenced by the pandemic, but net, a loss of 2.7 million jobs, adding job growth in Trump administration, but losses during the pandemic.
That's all lies. It's all lies because we all know what happened during the pandemic that then juked the numbers. So if you come in at an administration where the majority of the people are working from home and they're getting STEMI checks, but then at the same time, everybody is hiring from home so that when you then get handed the keys, you basically get to drive the vehicle that was created for you and you get to say, oh no, we created 16 million. It's all BS. It's all BS. The pandemic is absolutely one of the biggest things that they're using to juke the numbers. But I think that the people are smart enough to see through it. Let's continue.
Pandemic for the Biden administration, 16.2 million jobs. Unemployment rate, basically the same if you look at the two. Again, factoring in for pandemic and other things, 3.5% was the lowest unemployment rate for the Trump administration. Of course, it rose during the pandemic. The lowest unemployment rate for Biden administration, 3.4%. Lastly, household income. This is also influenced by inflation. Household income rose by 8.2% during the Trump years, 1.3% during the Biden administration. Sophie, I want to start with you.
And make sure y'all combine inflation with household income. Inflation went up and it stayed stagnant with household income under Kamala Harris. And inflation stayed down and pretty low, while at the same time household income went up for the Trump administration. Remember that.
When you tease out those economic numbers and you find that Trump still has a net advantage over Harris on the economy generally, what do you think that's about?
Well, first of all, all of those numbers, you wonder how things may be different if all of those numbers and stats that you listed, voters had them when they voted.
Right.
They do not.
Or they answer a poller's question. Right.
And the reality is they don't.
They don't.
And, Biden and Harris, their voters and Trump voters, they almost like pick and choose what they want to know. And so for Harris voters, that's Harris and Biden, they created jobs. The stock market is on the rise. And for Trump voters, it's inflation. And on the trail, as I've been talking to some of these Trump voters, they like to look at the price of eggs, the price of gas. And they
can almost ritually repeat to you how much those have gone up in their own neighborhood. I get that all the time when I'm on the road.
Absolutely. And, to the cent. Right. They know how much it has gone.
Yes.
And so no matter what any of the other economic indicators say, voters will remember the price at the grocery store. And unfortunately for Harris, that's why you have 90% of Trump voters who say the economy is not in great shape.
Graham, economics is about how you feel. And stats matter, but how you feel matters more.
Right. And fundamentally, I think there's a second thing going on here, which is that these days we're in such a polarized political environment that your political beliefs are going to inform not only your opinions, but also the set of facts you tend to focus on. Right, so if you're a Harris supporter, perhaps you look at those job numbers. If you're a Trump supporter, you're inclined to look at those inflation numbers. And that's just a trend that's been happening in American politics for some time now.
Graham, I mentioned this as we came in. The vice.
I want to see what CNN has to say about this. Let me pivot for a second, and let's see what CNN's perspective of, because they're having a conversation and saying, is it worth the risk for Kamala Harris to wind up going on Fox News and get interviewed and possibly get exposed any worse than she already has? We've seen what happened to her on CNN. We've seen what happened to her on the Philadelphia news station. We've seen what happened to her on 60 Minutes. We've seen what happened to her across the board. The question that I'm asking you guys inside of the chat, and the question that I'm posing to the people is, do you think that it's worth it, objectively? Do you think that it's worth it for her to go on Fox News? I'm going to give you my honest opinion before they even comment on it, because I haven't seen this video yet. I'm going to say, if I was running her campaign, objectively, now I'm not looking on it on which candidate that I think is the best, because you already know that I think that Trump is the best candidate. That's why I voted for him. But the question that we're asking ourselves is it worth it for her to go on Fox News? I say no. The reason that I say no is because nothing good can come from it. Is no way in the world that she's going to somehow, some way become a much better interviewer, and she's going to come up with a way in which she can communicate more effectively on Fox, not standing in front of a teleprompter, and give us some better insight as to why those people should vote for. It's just going to make her look worse. It's going to make her look 10 times. Objectively, I want her to go on Fox News. It's supposed to happen tomorrow, I think Wednesday night, right? I want her to go on Fox News because it actually plays into Trump's favor, and it shows how incompetent she really will be. I think that that's what is going to happen. I think it's going to be absolutely a train wreck for her, because they have time to prep for it, and she don't know what she can't know what the questions are. The only thing that I think that she can do is something that she's strategically done. Eric D, you don't even know what I'm talking about. You're not even listening to what I'm saying. You're not even listening to what I'm saying. I'm talking about strategy. I'm not talking about who I think should be president of the United States of America. I'm saying that if I was to run her campaign, there's no way that I will put her in front of Fox, because there's no net benefit from it for her. There's no, all it is going to be more fodder for us to review and laugh at, to see how crazy she is as soon as she starts to talk about small businesses and an opportunity economy. There's no net benefit. I want her to go because it's going to be more content, it's going to be more laughing, and it's going to be more of an example as to why she looks foolish. But there's two things that she's trying to accomplish here, in my opinion. The first thing that I think that she's trying to accomplish is she's trying to prove that she's not scared to go on Fox. The second thing is, I don't think that the interview will be any longer than, it's going to be less than 30 minutes, 100%. No interview that she's done, zero, zilch, nada. Go and check the tape. If I'm wrong, I'll come back and I'll say I'm wrong. Maybe it's an interview that I'm not familiar with. Not one interview that she's ever done. Well, she hasn't really done any interviews. She hasn't really done any interviews at the Ops anyway. So let me take that back. I was about to say no interview she's ever done at the Ops. She's never pulled up to the Ops. But she likes to keep her interviews very short. You have a limited amount of time, even on 60 Minutes, you have a limited amount of time to hurry up and get all of your questions out. So where I think that a lot of these newscasts fail is that they try to get so many different subjects in within a half hour, within 20 minutes, within 15-minute interviews, within 25-minute interviews. The thing that her campaign is doing strategically is allowing for, when she go on these news stations, to only have a certain amount of time. And they saying, well, she don't have a lot of time. She got to go and take care of business. She got to do some other interviews. She got to go to a campaign rally. And that prevents us from really being able to dig into and ask more questions. So if I'm limited on that amount of time, A, I probably wouldn't do the interview. But B, If I did do the interview, then I would pick one subject that I think that she was incredibly weak on, and I would want to know exactly how she plans to fix it. For me, I think that the worst thing that's happened to the Democrats is the migrant crisis. And so I would hammer home every single point on immigration, and I would not let up. Every single conversation, every question will be a follow-up question with regard to immigration. So, we'll see what happens, but let me see what CNN's play is and what they think is going to happen.
I think it makes sense because she needs to speak to working class swing voters, independents, Republicans who are still on the fence. I don't know if you heard from her director to 270, David Plouffe, this morning. He thinks they're still gettable. And if those are the persuadable voters, you got to get them where they are. And they're watching Fox News. The people, really MAGA type Republicans, they think Fox is too liberal. They really do. Yeah, I know this because I know a few of them.
You know what?
So Fox is really a place for Nikki Haley land voters.
It's actually, I think there's a misconception about who watches Fox, right? And it's really a lot of different types of people that she might need to talk to.
Some Democrats
she might need to talk to.
I like Fox.
I was actually surprised that she's never done a Fox interview.
You know what was amazing to me about this is, she turned down the Fox News debate. They offered a debate, and she didn't want to do it. And now, with 3 weeks to go, we're scrambling over to Fox News because this campaign is in a full-blown panic. I do want to say a word about Bret Baier. Everybody seems to be crapping on him today. Bret Baier's one of the best journalists out there. He's going to ask her good questions. And if the 60 Minutes interview or The View or anything else she's done lately was hard for her, Bret Baier's going to put her through her paces. And so this is a dangerous thing because he's a real journalist who's going to ask real questions.
I don't know. Have people been attacking Bret? I feel like people have been generally praising him.
The algorithms work in mysterious ways.
One of the better Trump interviews he conducted.
No,
so there's that.
I think it's really smart. I agree that there could be voters to be had there. And just want to say to Scott that the Kamala Harris campaign is in no way in full-blown panic. She's doing exactly what everyone was saying she needs to do. She is now everywhere, what is it called? Everything, everywhere, all at once. That's what she's doing because that's what she can be doing, right? She is expanding the map in a way that I don't think people were expecting her to do. Right now, let's just look at her coalition. Her coalition is from Bernie Sanders and AOC to Dick Cheney.
Are you saying she put
that is the kind of spectrum that you expect from a campaign that is speaking to all American voters. And her message...
Hold on. The vice president... Hold on.
This is so obvious, and she's so obviously wrong. The more that she continues to show herself, the worse off the poll numbers get from her. And NBC and CNN confirmed that just yesterday. Let me say that again. The more she shows herself, the more she interviews, and the more Americans get to see who she is, the worse her campaign is. The more her poll numbers are continuously getting worse. Even the networks that's in her favor and saying, listen, this is getting worse and worse and worse. And the people are starting to say, we don't really rock with you, especially in the swing states. So if that be the case, how is this working out for her? And how is her strategy everywhere, all the time, in front of the people saying the same thing, but not adding any more substance as she did at the campaign rallies? How is this benefiting her? If every time that she pops out every day, she gets weaker in the polls, which I don't trust polls anyway, but it is something. And the people that support her the most are saying, I don't know about that one. How is it actually benefiting her? Which I want her to continue to do it. The more that we realize that she was just a chameleon, the more that she continued to backtrack, the more that she says, I said no fracking, no fracking, the more that she continued to steal Trump's policies, the more she exposes herself as a person that is not fit to be president of the United States of America.
You said she's expanding the map?
North Carolina, Georgia, those things were not.
That's been on the map all year.
No.
Come on, guys.
North Carolina.
No, my friend. Come on.
Hold on.
Lord have
All right, Chair Michael, go ahead.
If the vice president, and we talked about this in the previous segment, if the campaign was doing so well, if she was so ahead in the polls, she would not be going on Fox News. She would not sit down with Bret Baier. I'm almost certain if I were a Democratic strategist, I would be very concerned about potentially putting my candidate on Fox News where she's asked a question where she
Not if
doesn't
you're
appear to be
confident about
well,
your candidate.
or she doesn't answer well, I should say.
I think
that would
we're
not
not.
bode well.
Hang on.
Why they all start over talking him as soon as he started making some sense? Because he actually said something similar to what I was saying.
That is one way of looking at it. But I mean, I think you could also look at it strategically as this probably should have happened earlier, whether she was up or not. I mean, when you look at someone like Pete Buttigieg, he's always on Fox.
Oh, he's great.
Listen,
He's on Fox.
guys.
But he's good at
I
it.
just
She's
have been a
not.
little
I feel like if we took names off of people's itinerary, you would look at her itinerary and be like, she's a winner and your guy's a loser. Point blank.
Why?
What?
Because of the places she goes from the shade room to Fox. That's range, okay? Your guy doesn't do that. Your guy goes to safe spaces.
We would like to see.
How does he go to safe spaces? And they've been pulling up on CNN and ABC and MSNBC, and J.D. Vance and Trump has been pulling up and been taking questions the entire campaign. They've been taking unscripted questions the entire. He just came off a flagrant. He just got done doing an interview with Andrew Scholes. I'm not even going to tell y'all what's going on soon. I can't talk. I can't talk like that. You know what I'm saying? But how in any way is Trump not showing way more range? I mean, the dude did a whole live stream with Aiden Ross. He did a live stream with Aiden Ross, and Kai Cenat actually rejected Kamala Harris and being able to do a live stream with her. These women are so delusional.
Donald Trump. Scott, we would like to see Donald Trump here on
He did Katie Collins, did he not, in this cycle? Did he not do a
He wasn't even the nominee.
That wasn't
Wait a
even,
minute,
yeah, that
Ashley.
was
I mean,
years
wasn't
ago.
the nominee.
Anyways, just letting you guys know that she is planning on doing an interview with Fox News. Of course, Anton is going to be covering it right after we get done watching Anton on Dr. Phil Primetime. Dr. Phil, or the producers over at Dr. Phil, just text me. Can't wait to come back. They just literally text me. I don't want to show you the phone number. It says, "Hi, Anton. I hope you're doing well. Just wanted to remind you that your Dr. Phil episode airs tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central." Okay, 7 p.m. Central is 8 p.m. Eastern. 7 p.m. Central is 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so 7 p.m. Central. All right, y'all got that. You can watch via the streaming on the Merit app because it will air live on there also. Buckle up. It says buckle up, and then I literally just text them back. Yeah, it's going to be some fireworks, I can tell y'all that. It might be some people that may not like me after that episode. Not in our community, but it might be some people that's out in the open that may not like some of the things that I have to say. But they don't have to deal with it because that's who I've always been. It is what it is. It is what it is, okay?